Well, welcome to another edition of Shelton City Council Looking Ahead with City Manager Mark Ziegler. And Mark, Tuesday night, you have a business meeting for your city council. Relatively light, but it's a packed agenda as usual. But right at the top, new business agenda, you have a resolution and a grant to make improvements on Olympic Highway North.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that project.
Absolutely, love to. This is an exciting project for the city of Shelton. The city is accepting this agenda item is to accept the grants from the state, the Transportation Improvement Board. Almost $3.7 million, 3.688, I think, somewhere in that range, to redo Olympic Highway north from C Street up to north of, well, almost Wollaston Boulevard. We're seeing a degraded roadbed, alligatoring, spalling of the asphalt. So that'll be completely replaced. It's going to be a grind and replace type deal, not just an overlay. And then some pedestrian improvements as well. So some bump outs at intersections and other improvements that will increase safety for pedestrians crossing that wide road, because it's quite wide. It's, you know, three lanes with two travel lanes, a turn lane, and then parking on each side tends to be a pretty long stretch for pedestrians across safely. So we're going to focus on some pedestrian safety there as well. So it'll be a great project.
So the city has a small portion of payment there of like 10%. Is that what it is?
10%. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which is what? How much? 300,000?
Yeah, exactly. Close to 4, probably in the day. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we try to, what we do, we go through an engineering analysis before we apply for these grants that'll better extrapolate real-time costs today to construct this project based on the scope of work. We always add some inflationary increases to that based on, this is a project that's hopefully next year. You know, we hope to start on design here real soon after the grant gets accepted. We select a engineering firm to design and hopefully go to construction next year. So obviously you're taking, you know, you've got about a year of, you know, that economic activity in there that could change how these are being bid. So we try to build that in the best we can to make sure that we're covering as much of these costs with the grant funds as we can, and maintain local funds for some of our local roads that you can't get these grant funds for. So some of these neighborhood streets that there aren't state or federal funds available for. We want to put our local funds into that infrastructure.
So moving on to your action agenda, you have action on garbage rates. Mason County Garbage came to your board 2 weeks ago and explained it all to you.
Yeah.
Where are we going with this?
So, well, it's up for consideration on council. Council voted to move it on to the action agenda for March 5th. What Mason County Garbage is asking for, per the contract with the city of Shelton, they're able to increase rates based on an inflationary consumer price index costs for the Puget Sound area. And then any tipping fees that Mason County out of the landfill or transfer station might apply. But there's other costs, unforeseen costs that are stated in the contract that they need to come back to the city and request the city to approve increasing. Those costs include any other taxes or fees associated with fuel surcharges or anything out of the ordinary. So what Mason County Garbage is indicating is that the increase in diesel fuel, because of Climate Commitment Act, let's see, taxes, I guess, if you will, on diesel fuel has increased their cost to provide the services. So they're coming back and asking the city to approve a 20-cent per month increase on residential services, $1.63 per month on commercial services. So the council will be considering that further on March 5th.
You've added an item to the agenda, designated crisis responder and contract for that. Can you explain what the designated crisis responder is?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a mental health professional that's embedded within the Shelton Police Department. and they are accredited and licensed to practice mental health in the state of Washington. And they go out and they do assessments. So they assess individuals that may be going through a mental health crisis in our community. They can assess them for recommend voluntary commitment, involuntary commitment, track them through the system, if you will, and provide any services that may be necessary to get these individuals stabilized. So it's been a great resource for our police department. They're obviously not mental health professionals. They're often asked to deal with individuals that are experiencing these crises on our streets. And this DCR, designated crisis responder, is able to do that and kind of take that burden from our police department, but also help these individuals get them into some services that they so desperately need, and hopefully get them stabilized. And if they're a homeless individual that are experiencing these things, they get them into a treatment program that also has some services that may get them further into some housing and other facilities that stabilize their lives. So we're happy that Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization has received some funds to support this program, and Olympic Health and Recovery Services supplies the DCR, and we've had the same DCR now for almost 2 years. Basically, July 1st of this year will be about 2 years. So same individual has been within the police department, so it's also created some stability and some familiarity, I think, with the clientele that he is working with.
Is that a question regarding your 3-touch rule? Can you explain the 3-touch rule? Because you're going to, for this particular item we were talking about, you're waiving that 3-touch rule. Can you explain the 3-touch rule?
Absolutely. So the City Council Protocol Manual discusses a number of things, but amongst those is how the council will review information items that come before them, and what we call is a 3-touch rule. So essentially, the council, before taking action, needs to see that 3 times in total before that action is taken, unless they physically waive that. So they have the ability to waive that if they deem necessary. So typically, the first touch is something placed on the agenda, or what we call our looking ahead calendar, so they can actually see the title, they can see the date that's going to be presented to them. That's touch 1. Touch 2 is the business agenda, when staff brief the council on the agenda topic. We're able to provide as much information as we can, answer any questions, and then it gets, potentially, the council votes for it to go to the action agenda, or it basically dies at that point without any action. If they vote to push it forward to the action agenda, that's the 3rd touch, and then they would approve it at that point. In this case, we're going straight to the action agenda because it's timely. One thing, we essentially approved this contract twice already. It's the same contract we had before. The service is already in place, and we are, we'll be in the 3rd month of the year when the service are already being provided. So we want to be reimbursed as quickly as possible for the services that we're paying for through OCRS. So really, in this case, it's kind of a housekeeping, if you will, and it's extending the contract rather than having a new program come before the council.
Okay. That clears it up for everybody, I hope.
Yeah.
All right. So those are some of the items on the agenda for the City Council Tuesday night in the courtroom at the Civic Center, 6 o'clock. You can come in person, participate that way, get on the Zoom link, or watch it on the city's YouTube channel. Thanks, Mark.
Right. Thank you.